EastEnders at 40, Top 15 Best Ever Villains from Nick Cotton to Nish Panesar. 15. Gray Atkins. What started as a powerful domestic abuse storyline, culminating in Gray's harrowing murder of wife Chantel, turned into a farce where this villain was concerned. It took over a year for Gray to be caught, during which time he murdered twice more, but Smith's portrayal was haunting, as he played the horrific narrative so well that we were genuinely scared of vile Gray. 14. Johnny Allen. Johnny's savage killing of Andy marked the start of his reign in Walford. With a dark history involving Pat Evans and Peggy Mitchell, he was behind Dennis Rickman's brutal murder, and it was only a matter of time before Phil and Grant Mitchell sought revenge. Daughter Ruby played a key role in his downfall, forcing him to turn himself in, which led to Johnny receiving a life sentence. In prison, Johnny suffered a heart attack while ordering a hit on Ruby's boyfriend, Sean Slater, which was mistakenly believed to be for Jake Moon. Johnny's legacy endures, but his weakness for Ruby ultimately led to his undoing. 13. Andy Hunter. Still pining for his ex, Kat Slater, Andy coerced her into sex by promising to pay off her husband Alfie's debts. He later married Sam Mitchell but used her to gain control of her family's empire. When the assets no longer served his purpose, Andy dumped Sam and orchestrated the murder of Paul Truman. However, his reign ended when Johnny Allen pushed him off a flyover, fatally taking him out of the picture. Despite being overpowered, Andy still claims a spot in our top 15 villains. 12. Michael Moon. Janine met her match in the toxic but tormented Michael, and when they split, things soon turned ugly over custody of daughter Scarlett. After physically menacing Janine, Michael used smitten Alice Branning in a plot to kill Janine. But when Alice turned on him, Michael tried to strangle Janine, only to be stabbed by Alice. Janine finished the job by secretly stabbing Michael a second time in the exact same spot. Killing him, she framed Alice but eventually confessed, claiming self-defense. 11. Babe Smith. The Carter's evil aunt had a unique brand of wickedness that delivered one almighty open cliffhanger. Babe was revealed to have taken part in baby farming, helped bully niece Shirley into giving up parental rights for son Mick, illegally served alcohol in the Queen Vic, and blackmailed Les Coker because he enjoyed dressing as a woman. Mick finally threw Babe out after one misdeed too many, and Babe placed a curse on the pub and family. So, one could argue that all the distress the place has seen since is all down to Babe. 10. Dr. May Wright. Dubbed Mad May, she sought revenge on Dawn Swan after Dawn became pregnant with May's husband Rob's baby. May drugged Dawn, threatened to extract the baby, but Dawn escaped and reported her to the police. May returned, kidnapped Dawn again, and planned to take Summer. In a dramatic final act, she turned on the gas, lit a cigarette, and died in the explosion. May's legacy remains one of EastEnders' most unforgettable moments. 9. Dean Wicks. Dean's rape of sister-in-law Linda Carter cemented his status as one of EastEnders' most notorious villains. After assaulting Roxy Mitchell, he fled abroad to evade justice. Linda was horrified when Dean returned to Walford after nearly 10 years, setting up a life and manipulating her into retracting her allegation. During the trial, set up by Linda and the Six over Keanu's death, Dean lost his temper and confessed to the attack. Linda finally got justice, and Dean was sentenced, securing his place among the most infamous villains. 8. Lucas Johnson. Lucas, a serial killer who believed he was doing God's work, held his ex, Denise Fox, captive and took several lives. His downfall came when he was sentenced to life in prison, but he returned years later. After a failed escape attempt, Lucas showed remorse, taking the fall to protect his daughter Chelsea and cutting ties with her. Denise later sought his advice during Keanu's murder cover-up, and Lucas reached out to her loved ones before disappearing. Despite his past, Lucas remains one of EastEnders' most iconic villains. 7. Stella Crawford. Stella initially appeared to be a meek bride for Phil Mitchell, who wanted a wife and mother for his son, Ben. However, she was secretly abusing Ben both physically and mentally. During their wedding ceremony, Ben exposed her actions, and when confronted, Stella jumped to her death instead of facing the consequences. Her portrayal by Star Thompson showed that a soap villain doesn't need to be loud to leave an impact. Stella's abuse had lasting effects on Ben, shaping him into adulthood. 6. Nick Cotton. Nick, a murderer with a heroin addiction, constantly burdened his mother, even plotting to poison her for money. He was also involved in blackmail and caused his son's death. Over the years, he tried to convince she had dementia and even faked his own death. Nick met his end when chose not to help him as he lay dying. A decision shaped by a lifetime of suffering at his hands. His character remains iconic, thanks to John Altman's unforgettable performance. 5. James Wilmot Brown. James Wilmot Brown raped Kathy after she rejected his advances and later served time for the crime. When he returned, he admitted what he had done, giving Kathy some closure, but it was revealed he had raped another woman. William Boyd convincingly portrayed the disturbing character, especially during Wilmot Brown's return 25 years later, when he tried to take over Albert Square. He visited Kathy, revealed he was dying, but she took control and left him to die alone. One of EastEnders' most chilling villains. 4. Trevor Morgan. Long before similar storylines became common, Trevor abused his wife, Little Mo, with physical assault, rape, and control over her life. She eventually fought back, striking him with an iron. Trevor died in a fire, and Alex Fern's chilling performance set the standard for future abuse storylines. 3. Janine Butcher. Janine's shameless behavior earns her high praise, as she consistently gives us new reasons to dislike her. Despite being a murderer, Janine's character also shows vulnerability, thanks to Brooke's portrayal. Though partly responsible for Mick Carter's presumed drowning, Janine's ability to cause chaos makes her a villain we'd gladly welcome back. 2. Archie Mitchell. Archie Mitchell, a manipulative rapist, married his former sister-in-law Peggy Mitchell, but his daughter Ronnie knew his true nature. After making many enemies, Archie was murdered by Stacey Slater with the Queen Victoria bust. Larry Lamb's portrayal of this vile character contrasts with his role as the lovable midshipman in Gavin and Stacey. 1. Nish Panesar. Nish Panesar, an abusive character, controlled Suki and tried to harm several people. His downfall came when Ravi pushed him off a balcony after Nish poisoned Eve. His memorable performance helped EastEnders remain successful.
Các bạn vừa theo dõi một sản phẩm của EastEnders Spoiler TV. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại.